All right, we're here with Green Smoothie Girl today, Robyn Openshaw, and we are so lucky to have her teaching us. She has a wealth of information. She's been a huge mentor and inspiration to me, along with thousands of other people, and she's really made it doable and realistic to eat whole foods, and so we're so excited to learn from her today. And our first question, we just want to know, what is your story? How did you get into all of this, and what?
Yeah, it's been a weird, long path. You know, I got a college degree, I got an advanced degree, and none of them were in nutrition. I never had any aspirations of studying nutrition. It's all been self-taught. But what happened is that when I was 26 years old, after in my teenage years, I watched my grandmother beat cancer after saying no to chemotherapy and radiation. And she juiced vegetables, and she ate a plant-based diet, and she beat a stage 3 cancer and lived another 20-something years. And so I was really inspired by that as a teenager. I also at the same time watched another family member, her son, die of cancer after choosing chemotherapy and radiation and choosing, you know, what the doctors told him to do. And I don't say that because, you know, I think that it's a black and white decision by any means, or that there weren't other variables at play there, but he had a stage 1 cancer and died 18 months later. And she lived another 20 years and she held all of my children in her arms. And so I was really inspired by that. But I was also young and immature, and so I went off and ate this processed food diet. And when I was 26 years old, I weighed over 200 pounds. Did you know that about me?
No, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, when I was, you know, about your age, I weighed over 200 pounds and I had 21 chronic health conditions. I was having migraines, I was having strokes. I couldn't run a city block.
You couldn't? Mm-mm. She plays tennis like a mad woman right now and runs all over the place and bikes and does everything.
Yeah, I ski. I probably play sports 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm a competitive athlete in my mid-40s. I couldn't run a city block in my mid-20s. And all kinds of other things, 3 autoimmune conditions. And I finally had a baby after years of infertility, just one of the 21 problems. And my baby was born fairly normal, but then, you know, I weaned him onto cow milk and, you know, fed him chicken nuggets and everything everybody else did. And he was, you know, it was a life-threatening situation by the time he was a year old. At 7 months, he was diagnosed with severe asthma. He fell below the 5th percentile for weight. And at the time that we switched to a whole foods diet, because I went to an iridologist of all people, and he said, eat 60 to 80% raw, 95% plant-based diet. And I did it overnight. I was desperate. And I've been told by several doctors that I've studied with in my latest book, research for my book that I'm working on right now, that the most compliant patients are mothers whose children are going to die. And so it was a great blessing to me.
Oh, yeah, because you would do anything for your child.
Anything. I mean, the saying, I'd lay on the railroad tracks for him, that applies to pretty much every mother.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went to the mat for him, and we changed everything radically. And the transformation in us was so physical, so visual, that people just kept coming to us. And so for years, I was working with people really, really informally and trying to help them with specific habits. And then I put up a website called greensmoothiegirl.com just over 5 years ago. And I just kind of, you know, I'm a writer, and I was a BYU professor in the business school and taught management communications, writing and speaking. And so I just wrote all this stuff and threw it on this website and tried to walk away from it, and it just went viral. Went super crazy viral. So, and on the site, we teach people how to make the switch to whole foods and accomplish what we did, because my son, you just saw the pictures of him. He led his team to state this year in baseball. He led the state of Utah in RBIs. He's 6'3", and he was a failure to thrive baby at 15 months old, until we got him off of sugar and dairy and got him onto a lot of greens, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. And gluten and whole grains, of course, not necessary in the diet, and probably every one of us is, you know, to varying degrees sensitive to it. So that's my story, and we've just enjoyed vibrant health ever since. I have 3 more children, and life is good now, and I will never go back to that processed diet, because whatever it might taste good, but it brings a lot of misery.